First, I have like so much mad respect for you. Like, I know your story. I've watched your documentary. It was super well put together. And what I respect most about you is like you've clearly put in a ton of work since you've been a teenager. Like you played in a few bands, which Four Letter Line, Scary Kids, Scaring Kids, and there are bands that you played in that you didn't really care for at the time, but you played in them just to play music, and I really respect that. Like, and you've totally grinded, and just what seems to be like your laser focus, like to get to where you are today, I think is absolutely amazing. Like you're killing it, dude.
Thank you, man. Thank you, bro. It's really nice to hear that. Sometimes, sometimes you go so internal that just a comment like that can change the whole outlook on how things are going for you. You know?
Sure, and I'm sure for you, things have to be moving fast. Like ever since internet killed the rock star, I feel like I didn't know who you were before that. I think you released Flames with Avril, and I'm like, who is this dude?
Yeah.
So you had me hooked there, and then shortly after, I can't remember, but I had my radar was on you, and then the album shortly came after that, and just like every song on there was just so good. So I just feel like, and then you were in the media for, people, publications were loving you. So I mean, I just feel like probably been going super fast for you, and it hasn't really slowed down. So I don't know, do you ever get a chance to kind of like sit there and kind of think about all the accomplishments you've had?
Well, that's first off. Thank you for saying all that. Secondly, at least at least once a day, I do remind myself of it's very easy to start comparing yourself to your peers, right? And wanting to have
Right.
more and more and more. I mean, that's the life of an artist is kind of always wanting more. I think that um, when you get to the place of like transcending, that's when you start to just be really, really happy with what you've done. But until you reach that point, which can take a long time, you're kind of always wanting to outdo yourself, and you're always wanting to. You kind of live by the statement, which is like, you're only as good as the last thing you released.
Yep.
Um, and I just really try to remind myself of that kid that was in Minnesota playing in cover bands and skateboarding and everyone telling me that I'd never make it and thinking about the people that I did play in bands with and what they're doing right now and just really be like ultra grateful like to be put in a position where my peers are some of the biggest artists in the world. That's kind of a journey that I try to hold the gratitude that I'm just like in the same room as these people. So I try to remind myself, man, like I think that that's the number one thing that I go to sleep at night and I'm just like just let me wake up grateful, because you wake up in the morning and especially lately it's just like a lot to do. It seems like there's more to do. I mean, just in being an artist now, there is more to do than there ever has been. Um, you're in charge of the promotion now, the marketing more than ever. Whereas it used to be this really fun game to play of marketing, coming up with strategies on your own and very DIY. Now it almost feels like any day that you're not consistently promoting or marketing, you're missing. You're doing something wrong.
Right. You almost have to act fast nowadays. Like if you've got an idea, do it, because social media is the thing now, and that's where everybody's attention is. If you're not there, people forget you.
Yeah, and that's like the battle that I go back and forth with, which is my favorite artist of all time is Bob Dylan, who has been famously mysterious his entire career. You know,
Right.
I always look at that as like the epitome of what amazing artistry can be, and then trying to ride the line between feeling like if I'm not, I have all these tools to use, and if I'm not using them, then I'm, wasting time and not going to my fullest potential. That's the whole thing, is trying to like live up to your potential, bro. That's all I'm like trying to do, is like, I know that I want to do this into my 80s, bro. Like that's what I've always wanted. Even when I was 16, I was thinking like that. So, um, I do definitely try to stop and just be super grateful that I'm here, and let that outweigh the idea that I'm not where I should be.
Sure. Yeah. Well, dude, I hope you're doing this well into your 80s, and Grandpa Mod's got his 27th album coming out.
Yeah, 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 bro. It's gonna happen.
All right, dude, let's get into the album a little bit. First of all, congrats on the release of the brand new album, God Save the Teen. Dude, it's such a great follow up to Internet Killed the Rockstar. That Internet Killed the Rockstar, man, it was by far my favorite album of 2021. I don't think it got enough good reviews.
Yeah.
I know it got great good reviews, but I don't think it got enough of them. And this new album, man, I've honest to goodness have been listening to it nonstop. I'm sure my wife is annoyed by now, but I constantly have it on like while I'm working. And I have to ask, did you at all feel pressured with this album, since it's your sophomore pop punk album?
Mm-hmm.
You've had plenty of albums before, but this is your sophomore album pretty much,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
For a lot of people, it is.
yeah, for a lot of people it is. So, and we all know the history of the, sophomore slump
Yeah.
and all that, but dude, did you feel pressured at all with this album?
I would say it came in waves. At the start of making this album, there was no pressure because I enjoy the process of creating so much. But then there were times like when it came down to like actually starting to release songs from what I thought was. So there's a great story of where it started and ended up. So like where it started was that like Battle Scars, Rich Kids Ruin Everything, Perfectly Imperfect. These were all songs that were going to be on the album. And when it got time to start releasing those, the pressure came, I guess, once I started releasing those songs, because you know, I was just, I got into the numbers game, man. Just like, when you hit that stride, which with Internet Killed the Rockstar, I hit the biggest stride of my career. And I had been doing this for a really long time. So, like, I had navigated through a steady incline, but I had never had to navigate through like a real incline. Like,
A real rise.
yeah. Um, so, I started to get in my head a little bit for real. And it started making me think that the numbers were a representation of how good the music was, which is a super wrong outlook for anyone to have. It's a very easy place to get into because numbers are for everyone to see. Um,
Right.
and there's just an idea that an artist is always supposed to outdo themselves, like we were already talking about. So there did start to be a little pressure that came with that, because I was like, why aren't these reacting the same way? But then I finally like went back to my place of being like, I want to feel accomplished by adding to my discography, by leaving things behind, by being proud of the music that I make. And like some of my favorite songs I've ever made, a lot of my favorite songs I've ever made are on this new album. So I just got to a place where I was like, you know what? Like, I want to follow up Internet Killed the Rockstar with something that made me feel really fulfilled as an artist, which would be to release a full body of work instead of look at it like a fragmented album with a bunch of singles living with other songs. And it turned into this process of being like, I want to make this album an event, and I want this to be something I really enjoy doing, what I think is like pushing the boundaries of where things are at right now. And when I started listening to this album with 4 songs that had been released, I was even thinking about putting Down on the album, and like all this. I was just like, I want to give my people an album that's reminiscent of something that would have happened back when we weren't living in this world of singles, you know?
Right.
Um,
Yes.
and when everyone is saying go this way, I like to go that way. You know, that's just like that's in my DNA, dude, to do that. And so I really, really feel fulfilled as an artist with this album. And that took away a lot of the pressure. And like having people that do listen to me saying that this is like my best album yet, you know, that's like that's the numbers to me, is that, you know?
Yes.
And I think that I did release something that I did differently. I did it in a new fresh way, and I never take shortcuts when it comes to like the art that I make, when it comes to an album cover, when it comes to the rollout, when it comes to the visuals, anything with it. I just always want to be feeling like I am giving my all there. And
Yeah.
instead of feeling like I'm giving my all into like this marketing or being active on the internet, like I want to give it all into the art aspect, you know?
Yeah. And you could tell that you're doing that, man, because the rollout to this album, I think you introduced all of the songs on your Instagram. They had like a little poetic dialogue
Yeah.
to them. And it's like, it was definitely done in Mod Sun fashion. So you have your own unique way of marketing
Yeah.
and all that. So yeah, like that doesn't go unnoticed.
Good.
But do you think how you decided to roll out this album went into, let me see, think how I want to phrase this. So basically, you made a real ballsy move, I think,
Yeah.
in releasing just the album, no pre release singles or anything like that. Was this a way to kind of get your head out of the numbers game and just be like, look, here's my shit and I'm going to release it?
Yeah. 100%. Like it was it was basically like the success of the album lived within taking a risk, you know? I didn't want to do the same thing twice, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of always been like something that I strive for. And it's like I could have made Internet Killed the Rockstar Part 2, done it the exact same way, made it feel the same thing and been like here is the sequel to that. Um but I really wanted to show, I mean, not only doing it for the listeners but also doing it for the artists, dude. Like people feel like they have to follow this rule of singles and getting something to go viral on TikTok and feel like they
Man.
follow this guideline. And so when I figured out how to do this and roll it out and release an album and realized again that like, okay, yes, I do need to promote, but how can I do it in a way that makes me feel really proud? Instead of just grabbing a mic, going in front, making a TikTok, here's the chorus of the song.
Right. Something genuine.
Yeah, how can I do something that makes me feel really proud? It gives something to the listeners of me to be like, dude, I'll never forget when I hit play the second that album dropped and listened to it front to back and didn't skip a song
Dude.
and heard it all for the very first time with everyone else in the world. That gives something to the listeners. And then for all the artists out there that are now making videos going like, my label's making me make this TikTok, and if it doesn't go viral, I can't release this song. All these artists that feel like they are trapped in this loop, you know, to do it for them as well. And, you know, it really like, dude, it holds a lot of meaning to me to know that I was able to like stick up for all those people out there, give my listeners something special. And then for me, just be like, the success is it. And dude, honestly, like it's, you know, when an album drops with singles, it releases with whatever numbers came from those singles, you know?
Yes. Yep.
Um, and so the fact that the album charted on Spotify, like number 5 on debuts, got to
Yes.
number 2 on iTunes. Like things like this without singles, to be honest, it's like streaming better than my last album. Um,
Dude, and I wanted to talk to you about this too, because about this strategy, because my co-host and I, we talked about this before your album came out. Like, is this a good idea? There's a podcast episode called "Is It a Good Idea to Not Release Any Singles Before an Album?" And we were talking about you.
yeah,
And I ultimately, my co-host loved the idea. He's kind of old school.
yeah,
Uh, in the end, I said if anyone in the scene can do that right now, it's Mod Sun. But I still felt like this was such a risky move because of what you just said. Like it's a numbers game, and the labels care.
yeah,
They want you to release the singles because they know that those streaming numbers go towards the album sales
yep,
or album streams.
yep.
And that's, I ultimately said, that's why you see, especially with bigger artists, why you see their albums go gold or platinum like immediately on, day one or within the first couple weeks or something like
Yeah.
that.
And honestly, like, I mean, dude, it just made me feel really free, and it made me feel again, reminded me like what it is that I'm supposed to be doing as an artist in this scene. Like, dude, I've never wanted to be like everyone else. Just period. I've never wanted to be like everyone else, and then what it translates into art is I've never wanted to do the same thing as everyone else. And to be honest, like when I dropped Karma, I mean, it even goes to before that when I dropped this song called I Remember Way Too Much, I think in 2018. Um, there wasn't this giant resurgence of alt music and pop punk going on.
Right.
When I dropped Karma, that's when like this whole door opened up into the resurgence of this scene. And like hell yeah, there's been bands that have been fighting it out in the scene this whole time, 100%. Neck Deep and I mean, dude, Newfound Glory, like they've never
Yeah. You name it. Yeah.
there's been bands that have been going this whole time, but like me and my brother Machine Gun Kelly definitely helped kick down a door that really brought more attention into it, and like a rising tide raises all ships, right? So, um, as soon as all that happened, and there started to be this really big resurgence, um, and I was even being just listed as one of the names amongst them. That was amazing. But I'm a super big fan of art, man, and the life of an artist and wanting to do things in that way. And I just felt that with this album, I could, like when you're saying, like if there's one person that could do it, it's Mod Sun. Like that means a lot to me because I'm doing this to be artistic. Like that's what really gets me going, bro. It really does. And this album just made me feel so back to like in a way it was doing what got me to the highest point in my career, and then not forgetting about all the things that brought me here, the 10 years prior to Internet Killed the Rock Star, that was me being just sometimes too artsy. You know what I'm saying? Be
Sure.
artistic that it's not being digested by the general public. And it was really just me introducing those two things and not forgetting about what got me here. And that's kind of like the culmination of God Save the Teen. And it's like, it goes all the way to the title. God Save the Teen is like, in this world, we are okay, here we go. Let's go into it. In this world, we are championing trends. We are championing people copying each other.
Yes.
Because that's what a trend on, let's say, TikTok is. It's like this person made this popular, and if you do the same thing, you can as well be popular.
Yep.
So now we're championing trends. And like I'm saying, I want to always push for individuality and originality and creativity. And like that's what the whole title is about, is like we're responsible for helping create what this future is, right? It's not saying like God save the teen, the teens are fucked up. It's about saying what we're constantly telling the teens or giving these young generation, we're responsible for that. And like we're in charge of being like, this could make it a better future. This is could be how you rebuild something. And I mean that was the whole like concept of this album, you know?
Yeah. Well, dude, it's a phenomenal album. You should definitely be proud of this work. There is one song in particular, like you said it before when I was introducing myself, that we have some stuff in common.
Yeah.
Well, this song in particular, this one song in particular on the album, I really appreciate, and that's Single Mothers. Okay. So, and I will say on the All Punked Up team, we actually have someone who is a single mother. Shout out to Bree. She definitely connected to your song. So good job. You made her cry.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this song real quick.
Yeah.
So this one stuck out to me the most because I too connected most with this song. I, like you, was raised by my mom, a single mom. My parents got divorced, I think, when I was about 5.
Yeah.
My dad had a drinking problem, and that kind of took its toll. So it was just my mom, my older sister, and me. And, you know, looking back, I didn't notice it at the time, of course, because I was young. But man, my mom kicked so much ass, and she gave us everything we needed. We didn't have a lot because we didn't have a lot of money, but she made it work. And knowing what I know now, like I have so much respect for single mothers or dads even. And that's essentially what this song is about. And I think you nailed it with this one, dude.
Dude, thank you so much. It's probably one of my proudest pieces of art because I know specifically I've never heard that song before. You know, it's one thing to make
Right.
a great love song. It's one thing to make a great breakup song. It's one thing to make a great revenge song. But to make something that you've essentially never heard be made, that's like where I go to sleep at night feeling really, really proud. And not only that, but like, you know, there's like a lot of emotion just capture. I believe in the energy that you capture when you're making a song. And that's what song specifically like has a lot of emotion captured in that 3 minutes, you know, because there was a moment where me and John Feldman both broke down crying while making the song. And you know, a single parent, it gets overlooked a lot. You know, I know that I didn't even open up the questions to my mom about like how hard it was until making this song. You know, I really like did some research while making it. And I'm really proud of it, dude. I'm also really proud of the fact that it like has like almost like a folk overtone to it.
Yeah, dude, it does.
Um and dude, my mom definitely deserved a song, and the fact that when you make something ultra real to you, oftentimes that's the most relatable thing. And like
For sure.
that song is touching single mothers really like all around the world.
For sure, dude. Like it's such a genuine song, like you can feel it. What'd your mom think of when she first heard that tune?
I mean, she broke down crying. She broke down crying, and then she's also just like, she's very proud that she raised a son that would feel so inclined to send that message and be in touch with his emotions. I mean, that's one of the most beautiful things about being a male raised by a woman is that
For sure.
she has always she has always really made it clear to me that like being in touch with your emotions is a superpower, you know, and being vulnerable. And it's just a real story, man. And like that's there is storytelling in that, you know, and I think that that's a place that I don't often go in my music is like storytelling. It's really kind of like emotive and I try to write poetic lyrics and all that, but this was like a real storytelling kind of song. And like, I mean, yo, like I already mentioned, and I almost mentioned 10 times a day, Bob Dylan be my favorite artist, man. Like, that's a song to me that feels like I tapped into that influence more than anything. And, dude, I'm just like so proud of, I can't even tell you enough. I'm so proud of
Well,
the
dude,
song.
well, bro, like you bring up the storytelling aspect, and I talk about that a ton on this podcast. That I'd like to see more pop punk artists do storytelling like they do in country music.
Right.
Not necessarily talk about, trucks and alcohol and all this stuff, but like do a storytelling thing. Like I feel like that's why country music is so big,
Yeah.
is because people can relate to anybody can relate to any song.
Right.
It doesn't matter what it is, you can relate to it. I feel like Blink 182's Damn It. Like I don't think Blink 182 gets as big as they did. Yeah, I know they got big because of All the Small Things, What's My Age Again, but I don't think they get as big if Damn It didn't come out, because Damn It's a great storytelling song.
Right.
You're wondering
Or
what it hooks you.
Josie.
Or
You
Josie, yes.
know, like that's such a storytelling song, you know? And like
Absolutely.
when you get like that when you talk about things so specific,
Yes.
everyone there's this innate human condition that makes you think that when you get too specific you're unrelatable, but it's so the opposite, man.
For real.
It's so the opposite. And like I know that my favorite songs are oftentimes um so specific to the artist that it somehow paints a story in my head where I make my own, it almost is like you're giving the song to the listener to write their own story to it.
Sure. Well, hey, even your song, Avril's song, like I'm sure that's specific to Avril,
Yeah,
but I could relate to that.
that's again what I'm finding. And like there was a lot of like, dude, there was a lot of pushback from people that I work with just being like, if you name it Avril's song, then it's her song. How can it be anyone else's? And I'm just like, dude, that the point is I'm telling my story. And I don't see people be that genuine anymore, you know? Like
Right.
this is like a world that I've created that I'm allowing everyone to live inside if they choose to. And I'm finding again the same thing with that song in particular. Is like I think that's like the second highest streamed song on the album, and it's like people love it because they're like, you're telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like you can tell when an artist isn't telling the truth. You can tell when the artist is just making a song. You can tell when the artist is singing a song they didn't write. Like you can
Oh yeah,
feel
absolutely.
things. You can feel them. And people are tapping into that because they're like, dude, how much more honest can you be?
Sure. Absolutely. So another song on this album that I do want to talk about, because it's one of my favorite all-time songs, is the Goo Goo Dolls classic that you decided to
Yeah.
cover.
Yes.
So, in all honesty, it's the best cover that I've heard done. So, what was it about this song that made you want to cover it? Because it's been covered by a lot of bands already.
Yeah. Well, this album in particular has a lot of Goo Goo Doll influence on it. There's songs like When We're Dead, Drive. There's certain songs where I really Shelter, where I really wanted to like tap into that influence. And when I think back to like earliest memories when a song actually like hit me, like you hit a certain age, you can listen to music all your life, but once you hit like a certain age or understanding, all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, like I think like this just made me feel something that I
Right.
not like. I feel something extra when I hear this, and that was one of my first memories of a song doing that, where I was just like, because that song was all over the radio, and like I grew up in times where you'd ride around listening to the radio, and and that song like really, really, really touched me in some way and made me feel um, just like understood where I came from. I was in the suburbs of Minnesota. First off, I grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere. My parents got divorced. We moved to a suburb, and I was like, I was in a really rich suburb, but I was in like government sanctioned homes and like the poor kid in this rich suburb. And then furthermore, then I quit playing sports and I started to skateboard and play music. And that threw me into like, not even because of my social skills, the things that I liked made me become the outcast. And that song, Iris, like, there's nothing like a lyric being like, I don't want the world to see me because I don't think they'd understand. When you sing that, all of a sudden you feel understood. It's one of those great dichotomies of being like, oh, you don't feel understood either. So then now we both don't feel understood. That thus makes us understood, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
like this beautiful dichotomy that happens there. And that song was there for me from the first time I heard it up until the last time I listened to it. It's always had the same impact on me, and it saved me in many ways. So when I'm making an album called God Save the Teen, like, I'm gonna put a song on it that helped me when I was younger, you know?
Sure. Absolutely. You know, it's funny that you say that it saved you because, you know, Johnny Resnick, lead singer of Goo Goo Dolls, I believe that song basically saved him and the band
Yeah,
because I think he was going through writer's block at the time.
yeah,
He was going through a divorce or something like that. And I want to say his manager, the Goo Goo Dolls manager at the time, got him a deal to write for the City of
yeah,
Angels movie.
yeah,
And so he took the opportunity. I guess he went and saw the movie, went back to his hotel room that he was living out of. Uh, Dude was going through writer's block, from what I remember, and only had four strings on his guitar.
yeah,
And he said he was messing with his tunings because, you know, Johnny Resnick has all weird tunings for a lot of, you know, like Name and that one and a few other songs. So he was messing with the tunings on his guitar and then was just noodling and came up with Iris. And he said it just kind of
yeah,
fell from the sky. So it's like
yeah.
it saved him.
There's that other story too, where they're in the studio and like, think it was Rob Cavallo who was producing it. I think so. Um, they decided that they were gonna put strings on it, and like,
Oh yeah, dude. Yep.
there's this story of them being like, once we put strings on it, like, we're never going back. Like, we're not
Yep.
CBGB's Goo Goo Dolls anymore. Like,
Right.
we're we're fucking mainstream Goo Goo Dolls, and that's when their best music in my opinion. I like their whole catalog. Truly, I do. I love the songs.
Oh, me too,
I
dude.
love when Rob
Me too.
do everything. Like, but yeah, my favorite songs were made in that whole era. Yeah, man, that song is the definition of a timeless song.
Oh, absolutely. Totally, totally agree. Yeah, Goo Goo Dolls, for people who are listening, Goo Goo Dolls used to be punk, and I don't think a lot of people know
They
that. So,
know that they were a punk band playing at CBGB's for real.
yeah. Dude, speaking of punk, your Courtney Fucked Kurt song,
Yeah,
so good. Like when I first saw the song title, when you released the track list,
yeah,
I saw that name come up. I'm like, "Oh boy. What is this one going to be about?" Because like clearly you know it's Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain,
yeah,
but like what's it going to be about? But man, this one's really done well. But the lyrics are pretty much all like anti-glamorizing of, you know, I guess the bullshit and trauma and drug use, you know, the bad things that these celebrities we look up to have.
yeah,
And I think that this is great.
yeah.
I think it's great. I think people need to hear this.
Man, thank you, bro. I feel the same way. It's like being a drug addict for a decade, being an alcoholic for a decade, having the 27 Club tattooed on me when I was 17 years old. Like, I was had this huge romanticization with death, and with, Jim Morrison was like one of my idols still to this. I mean, he's always been one of my idols. Um,
Sure.
his whole thing was focused on death. Everything about what he wrote about everything. And I just wanted to make a song that was like putting it in the front, like, be careful what you are looking up to. Be careful about the surface of what you're looking up to, because it can enter your soul. And like, it happened to me for sure. I was on a very like addicted to chaos, destructive path, and thought that's what my idols did, so that's what I'm supposed to do. And I just have like this message now, this overwhelming message that's just like, that's like a lot of what like Internet Killed the Rock Stars whole theme was thematically, was like reinventing the rock star, of not being this person that's like supposed to be fucked up, drunk, sleeping with a different girl every night, and like talk about the healthy side of being an artist. That's what that was about. And I just think like, the fantasy of Sid and Nancy that's entered culture at a higher level than ever now, I would say. Like there's always been this like Sid and Nancy saga, but I think like, kids are being more aware of it, and like, I just wanted to like touch that and be like, stop romanticizing death. You know what I'm saying? Like, plain and simple. And like, understand, like, there's a lyric that's like, you sing all the songs, but you don't know what the words mean. That's
Yeah, right.
the opening lyric of the verse. And it's like, really, like, understand that stuff. Like, look into it, And again, like, the topics on this album, topics on the album cover, topics on the name, it's all not me trying to say, I know what's right and I'm the preacher for the good. It's really just like being a messenger for that stuff. It's not like, dude,
That's perfect, man.
bro, I got Sid and Nancy tattooed on my body. Like, I'm not saying like they're like, don't look up to these people. Like, I'm just saying, look into it, understand it.
Yeah. Also, look up to him for the right reasons,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So we already touched on it. No pre-release singles on this album, but what will the official single be, or what's gonna get the first music video? What's your visual strategy here?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like that's the great thing is like I'm letting the people raise the hand of the song to do it.
I think that's brilliant. So are you going to look at the streaming numbers basically and let that
Yeah,
tell you what to do?
just ask people too. Like, dude,
It,
like,
dude, isn't it? It's so easy nowadays. It's like because it goes back to what we were just talking about how the labels want you to. They want a song to go viral first before they release it. They want to do all these things. They want to guess which singles are gonna, catch people's attention. And dude, your strategy, the people are already telling you right now. It's Shelter.
yeah,
If you're looking at Spotify numbers, like that should be the first video or single,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and like that's like such an obvious one. So I'm just like, there will be something awesome with that song that happens, but it's probably not going to be a music video. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Ooh,
like,
okay.
like I've done that. It'll be something else special with that. But really, just like even when I'm about to go on tour, like I was basically like, "Yo, what songs do you guys want to hear?" And like I created the set off of that mostly, and then just being like, what do y'all want, and letting them tell me. That's kind of like what's going on. Like in my mind, like shit, like single mothers might be the one, and have it release on Mother's Day. You know what I'm saying?
You know what, dude? Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Dude, I bet you that song is going to go over so well live. Like, I hope you're adding it to the set
Oh,
list because,
it's on the set.
dude,
Oh,
I don't know how you're going to do it, but I could just see it like if you strip that sucker down
yeah.
and it got all quiet, oh my gosh, that song would do better live than it does studio. And it already kills in the studio version.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people, you know how it is when you go to a concert, especially for people who are seeing their favorite artist, they get emotional. They're already emotional. And then for a song like that, if, a single mother's out there or like I'm out there and my mom was a single mother, I could relate to the song. Like, dude, that's gonna destroy
Yeah.
live.
Yeah, man. Like, that's one of my main goals. Like, I directed and well co-wrote and co-directed a movie last year, um, that was called Good Morning, and it was a comedy, and it just happened to be that way. That was the first movie of my directing and writing career. But my goal is always I would much rather make people cry than I would make them laugh. When it comes to art, like I
Sure. Yeah.
beautiful about that emotion that comes out. So yeah, man, I think that's gonna be a really special moment. But in my eyes, like one of the really special songs that I think is, you know how there's songs that 4 years later all of a sudden they blow up and they're the biggest song in the world.
Yeah,
That if I had any song in my catalog that I feel like could do that, it's like Single Mothers to me. I just think that that's
hands down.
is gonna live forever, and like consistently that narrative will never change. Like there's always going to be that subject in the world. It doesn't matter what happens, you know.
Dude, yes, 100%, 100%. So let's go ahead and talk about this upcoming headlining tour of yours. You've got Tom the Mailman and you've got Stand Atlantic coming out with you. Dude, this is going to be a sick, sick ass tour, and it kicks off in just a few days. We were just talking about that. So you said you're getting ready to do rehearsals tonight, right?
Yeah, I'm literally, once we're done with this, I'm leaving, headed to rehearsals. And actually, so um something unfortunate happened, but it turned out great in the end. But Tom Millman actually had to pull off the tour.
Oh,
But someone really awesome named Party Alone. I don't know if you've heard of Party Alone yet.
I have not yet.
Oh, Party
I'm going to go check them out.
Party Alone is gonna blow up. Like definitely gonna blow up. Also, a really special thing. He's this really young artist who's from Minnesota as well,
Oh, nice.
which is where I'm from. So it's really like there's heavy meaning into having him come out. But he's gonna be on the tour, so it's myself, Stand Atlantic, and Party Alone, and this lineup is the coolest, strongest lineup I've ever had on a headlining tour. And dude, like I'm just like I'm creating a lot of like what we talked about on here. Like I'm creating a real, this isn't just like song, talk a little bit, song. Like I'm kind of creating in some ways like a little bit of a stage show with it. Um
Okay.
and
Will you be recording along the way? Maybe any live footage coming?
Oh yeah, lots.
Attaboy. Attaboy. I can't wait, dude.
Yeah, we'll be covering it all, and yeah. So I leave at literally in 4 days, and I'm out February 19th to April 2nd, all around the country, 4 shows in Canada, and and dude, these are the biggest rooms that I've ever played. So it's pretty cool because I had played 500, 600 cap venues since I was 19, been playing the same venues, and this is like my first big upgrade into the bigger rooms, like graduation. So
Dude, that's amazing, man. Just to think, when Mod Sun started, he was out getting booed off stage when you're doing the rap and hip hop stuff, and now look at you, man,
it's amazing.
killing
I'll
it.
tell you what, bro, those shows taught me so much that I still use to this day, man. Like just fighting till the end, man, and being able to go in front of people, and no matter what's happening in front of you, still give your everything.
Dude, and that goes back to the top of this interview when just telling you how much respect I have for you, and it's that kind of shit right there, because most people would have quit right then and there,
Yeah.
because it happened to you multiple times,
Oh,
and you still persevered, man, and you still pushed through, and now you are arguably the biggest name in pop punk. You're at least one of the biggest names in pop punk right now. So,
whoa,
dude,
that's cool. that,
yeah, dude.
that made me feel real good, man. Thank you so much, dude.
Well, dude, it's true. And like you and Stan Atlantic, anybody who listens to this podcast knows that you two are my absolute favorite modern day pop punk artists right now. So I know that this tour of yours is going to kick so much ass.
Yeah, dude. Are you coming to any show?
Dude, I would come to the Chicago show.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Chicago the day before with the family.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to be there March 5th, and we're got to travel back. So, and I'm 3.5 hours away from Chicago. So it's just unfortunately not going to work for me, but we are sending a photographer out
Okay.
to grab some pics and stuff.
All right.
Guys, so,
Change your mind, bro. I'll put you and the family all on the guest list, man. Bring them all.
all right, dude, I'll let Paige know if I can swing it.
Yeah. If you can convince the family, bro.
Dude, that'd be wild. That'd be wild, especially for my son to see like a good, pop punk show.
Man, if there's any way you can make it happen, bro, we will take care of y'all.
I appreciate you, dude. All right, Mod, I think, dude, this is the perfect place to end. Do you have anything else you want to share? Anything we didn't touch on? The floor is yours, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, for anyone who listens to me out there, like, yo, y'all are the reason that I've gotten to do all this. And I know that I would have completely locked myself in a room and kept doing this and making music. But the fact that I have people that actually listen and actually care and actually support me, I mean, just the fact that I'm, even if it's one person's favorite artist, that's what brings me so much joy in this life. And I'm forever, forever indebted to y'all. I know that musicians and artists get told, like, from people that listen to them, that like, y'all, you saved my life, music saved my life. And it's quite the contrary for me. Like, y'all have really given me the life that I've always wanted. And I'm super grateful. And for any artists out there that listen to this, man, do it your way. Do it your way. That whatever you can do to feel fulfilled as an artist in this world that's constantly telling you that you need to be more and more and more. Whatever way you can find to make yourself feel fulfilled, the people that listen to you will appreciate that the most. And man, no matter what's going on, my favorite thing I've ever wrote in my entire life, no matter the amount of negativity you're presented with, 5 minutes from now could be your best moment. Just keep that mindset. You never know what 5 minutes can bring. So whatever anyone's going through right now, push through. 5 minutes from now could be the best moment in your entire life.
Dude, that was like the best outro ever.
Yeah.
Well done, man.
Dude, well, thank you for this interview, man. Like I said, dude, you've made.
Dude, absolutely. Thank you for, it does mean a lot for you to take time out of your day to come on. And real quick, I always try and make it a point to thank, the ones who make music, because music really puts a stamp on us, right? And the feelings and emotions that we feel the first time basically follows us around the rest of our lives. So thank you for the art.
No, dude, thank you. Appreciate what you do, bro. This was a really great interview, man. Thank you.
Hey, I appreciate it.